Okay, so this is section 2.1, and we are going to talk about rectangular coordinate system. So this is very important section because this is the introduction about the coordinate system we are using. So the objective, we want to plot the points, we want to graph the equation, we want to find out some information like intercepts, we want to find out the midpoint, and we want to find out distance between 2 points. So whenever we try to plot a point or find out a location, we use this coordinate system that's called rectangular coordinate system. And that means like in real life, if you look at the real life, this is very similar to the real life. There is a north direction, south direction, east and west, right? And we use those four direction and we create this coordinate system. And what we did is we start with the point. That point is called origin or starting point. And if you go to the right side from that point horizontally, then that is a right side, or the left side on horizontal line, that's called x-axis. X-axis. And if you go up or down, that's called y-axis. And in real number system, we have two different kind of numbers, positive and negative. So from this point, if you go to the right side on this line or horizontal line, any horizontal line, that's positive x value. If you go to the left side, that's negative x value. From this point, if you go up, that's positive y value. And if you go down, that's a negative y value. So think about this. This is your home address, and here is your school. So now to go from your home to your school needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 unit to the you know to the east, 1, 2, 3, 4 unit to the north. So that means you can represent this point by using 2 points. One is the x value and another one is the y value. How many units you travel on x-axis and how many units you travel on y-axis, how many units you travel on horizontal line, how many units you travel on vertical line. So as you can see that the horizontal line, which is also called x-axis, vertical line, which is also called y-axis. So the first point we are going to use here is x value, and the second point we're going to use is y value. X value means the number of unit you need to travel to get there. So in this particular example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 is the x value, 1, 2, 3, 4 unit to the y value. So we can represent this point as an order pair, using x and y value. So that is called order pair. And your location, your starting point, because it's a starting point, there is no x value and there is no y value, which can also be said like x value is 0 and y value is 0. So instead of using north, south, east, west, we use positive number and negative number on the horizontal line and on the vertical line. And this complete system is called rectangular coordinate system. And the first thing you have to understand, the very important thing, is order pairs. Any point on this system can be represented by two numbers, like I gave you this example. Okay, and this plane is called Cartesian plane because as you can see that Cartesian plane also called a coordinate plane. It is a plane with two axes, horizontal and vertical, that intersect at this point origin. Okay, so as you can see, this horizontal, by dividing this plane, this space, by horizontal line and vertical line, now we have four different paths. This one is called quadrant first, this is second, this is third, this is fourth. As I mentioned here, if you go to this side on the x line, that's a positive x value, this is positive x value. But if you go to the left side, that's a negative x value. negative x value. If you go up, that's a positive y, positive y. If you go down, it's a negative y. So in the first quadrant, if you are working in this quadrant, you have positive x and positive y. If you're working here, you have negative x but positive y. If you are working here, you have negative x and negative y. If you are working here, you have positive x and negative y. Okay? And this coordinate system can be used to go from one point to another point, one location to another location. Okay? So now the main thing we need to understand in this section is how to plot a point. So let's think about this. This is the coordinate system, and address of one of your friend is given by, ordered pair. Ordered pair is -4, 2. So you need to go from your starting point, which is origin, to this point where your friend, this is the location of your friend. So to go there from origin, always you look at the x value and y value, and you travel that many units on x and y axis. So this is x, always the first one, and then y, the second one. If it says x negative, from here you go to the left side. Negative means left. 1 2 3. Oh, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. Okay, so negative x, -4 is you come up to this point. And now from here you have to go 2 unit, positive 2 units. So either you go up or down, but because it's a positive, so you have to go 1 unit and 2 unit. The units are given here, so we are just following the units we have given here. So this is the location of your friend, which can be denoted as -4, 2. Okay, so by using those ordered pairs, we can also plot the graph of any equation uh, by making the table of ordered pair. For example, let's say you have this equation, which is basically equation of a straight line because it's a linear equation. We're going to see how we can plot the graph of this one. So to plot the graph of any equation using ordered pairs, we have to make tables first. So and then from that table we have to find out the ordered pairs for different points. So you have freedom. If you have equation, you have freedom to choose the value of x, and by using that value of x you can find out the y. For example, let's say if x is 0, to find out the y you put x equal to 0 here and calculate the y. If x is 0, the y would be 2. So one of the ordered pair on your graph would be 0, 2. Let's pick some positive number for x. X is 1, so then y is 3 times 1 plus 2, which is 5. Another ordered pair is 1, 5. Let's pick x is some negative number. X is -1. If you put x equal to -1, then y would be 3 times -1 plus 2, which is -3 plus 2, which is -1. Since this is a linear equation, which is a straight line, so 2 points are more than enough to plot the graph. So if you try to plot these points, you have to draw rectangular coordinate system, x-axis and y-axis. As you know that you can draw units 1 2 3 4 5, positive, negative here, positive up, negative down. And now you have to plot those points 0 2, 0 for the x, 2 for the y. So that's the first point. 1 5, 1 for the x, 5 for the y. 3 4 5, let's say here. -1 -1, so -1 for the x, -1 for the y. So this is your negative, x, -y. So now if you join these points, using the free hands, so my points would be here, then this should be the graph, and it will go like this. This is the straight line, so you can keep continue like this. So that's the graph of this equation, and I found that graph by plotting these points. So if 3 points are not enough, sometime you might need more than 3 points. Okay, this is a different kind of question. Here we need to find out either these points lies on this equation or not. So meaning if x equal to 0 and y equal to 3, if you use x equal to 0 and y equal to 3 in this equation, excuse me, does that satisfy this equation? Indicate ordered pair lie on the graph. So for that, you take the equation, you replace x by 0 and y by 3, and let's see what happens. 3 equal 4 times 0 plus 3. 3 equal 4 times 0 is 0. 3 equal 3. Whenever it gives you true statement, that means that particular ordered pair lies on that graph. So this 0 3 lies on the graph of this equation, of given equation. Now you can check the same thing by using x equal -2 and y equal -2 here. So let's replace y by -2 and x by -2 as well, and just do the simplification. So 4 times 4 plus 3, -2 equals 16 plus 3 is 19. So -2 is equal to 19, which is false. That means this point does not lie. It's not from that graph. So no, the answer is no. Okay. While we try to plot the graph of any function or any equation, there are some of the information, very useful information we need to find out. And the first thing is intercepts. Intercepts means the intercepts of a graph are points where a graph crosses or touches a coordinate axis. Meaning if you have a graph and if that graph crosses these lines, they are called intercepts. For example, let's say this is the graph, and as you can see that this graph touches the y-axis at this point and then x-axis at this point. These points are called intercept. If the graph touches the y-axis, that point is called y-intercept. When the graph touches the x-axis, that point is called the x-axis. So this is y-axis, sorry, y-intercept, y-intercept, and this is x-intercept. If a graph touches y-axis, that point is called y-intercept, and if a graph touches x-axis, that point is called x-intercept. You might have more than one x-intercept. So we need to find out x and y-intercept of the given function. How do you do that? Look at here in this graph. Whenever graph touches the y-axis, on that point the x value of that point would be 0. So you can see for the y-intercept, x value would be 0 and you have to find out the y value. For the x-intercept, the y value would be 0 and you need to find out the x value. So on x-axis, always the y value would be 0. On y-axis, always the x value would be 0. So for finding the y-intercept, replace x by 0 and find the y. For finding the x-intercept, replace the y value by 0 and solve for x. So in this particular problem, if you want to find out the x-intercept, meaning put y equal to 0 in this equation. So if you do that, then 0 would be x squared minus 2x minus 35. To find the x value or to find the x-intercept, you need to solve this quadratic equation. So to solve the quadratic equation, you can find the factor on the left side, find out the two number whose product is negative 35 and whose sum is -2. So I can think negative 35 is equal to -7 times +5, and -7 plus 5 is -2. So these are the two factors. So if we solve this equation, we find x equal to 7 and x equal to -5. So from here we can say that 7 0 and -5 0, these are the two x-intercept for this equation. Now for finding the y-intercept is easy. Just put x equal to 0 in the given equation, then y would be 0 square minus 2 times 0 minus 35, so that is negative 35. So y-intercept would be 0, negative 35. So when you plot the graph of this equation, for example, if you have to plot the graph, you know that this graph is going to intersect with the y-axis at 0, negative 35, and then x-axis at 7 comma 0 and negative 5 comma 0. So that's how it would be useful. Okay, let's say you have 2 points A and B, and you want to find out the midpoint of those. If you draw a line joining those 2 points, you want to find out the midpoint. Think about this. A is one city and B is another city, and you want to find out what is the mid city between those two cities. Then you can find it out in the coordinate system by using this formula. So let's say A has the coordinate x1 y1, that's the location for A, and B has a coordinate order pair x2 y2. Then the order pair for the middle point, that's also called midpoint, can be found by finding the average of x coordinate and then average of y coordinate. So you just have to add x1 plus x2 and divide it by 2 for finding the x value for x coordinate for the midpoint, and you have to do the same thing for the y coordinate. One example, there are 2 points. So the first point would be x1 y1, and second point would be x2 y2, and midpoint x comma y is sum of x1 plus x2 divided by 2, sum of y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Just plug the value. So it would be 5 plus 2 divided by 2, and negative 5 plus 6 divided by 2, and it's a 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. This is negative 5 plus 6 is 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. So in between these 2 points, the midpoint would be 3.5 comma 0.5. You can also find the distance between one point to another point. So same, two locations, two cities, we need to find out the distance, the distance between these two cities. We can find out by using this distance formula. You need to calculate the square root of difference between the x coordinate, square of the difference between the x coordinate plus square of the difference between the y coordinate for finding the distance. So let's say you have two points x1 y1 and x2 y2. You can find the distance by using this formula. X2 minus x1 is square plus y2 minus y1 is square. That's a formula. Just plug this value and that's just simplify them. X2 is negative 4 minus x1 is 1, square of that. Y2 is negative 3 and y1 is 3, square of that. So this one is negative 5 square, which is eventually 25. This one is negative 6 square, which is eventually 36. So 25 plus 36 is 61. So that's the square root of 61. That's the distance between these 2 points. Okay.